Get ready. Start. Mr. Vice Chairman, sir, these two bills now coming before us are coming after a big talk throughout the country by the government that major electoral reforms are being brought forward by the government. But I find that such a big effort is not being made by the government on this fundamental question. Mr. Minister, while explaining the objectives and reasons behind this legislation, stated that in bringing forward these amendments, the government had taken into account the total experience of the last 50 years, and on the basis of that experience these amendments were being brought forward. He also claimed that they held consultations with the opposition political parties too, and that they held consultations in their party also. And after taking all these things into account, they had brought forth this legislation. Sir, before I go into the details of these things, I must say that the Election Commission is going to be a body which is absolutely neutral, and they are going to supervise the elections in the country. I do not want to say anything about them, but the reason given today for not holding parliamentary elections in states, my humble opinion, does not stand to logic. Only that much I want to say, because I do not want to go beyond that. Coming to the other question of elections, it means that maximum democratic opinion has to be mobilized for those who are to govern the country. But the experience hitherto has been the central government has had democratic elections, that under the present system of elections with 30% of votes, the electorate enables you to rule the country. Sometimes it may be 33% or it may be 40%. That means that majority of the electorate opinion is not giving you support to rule the country. Therefore, our party all along was saying that elections should be based on the principle of proportional representation, which is also called the list system. What are the merits? Merits are many. The main thing is that the country will be ruled by the will of the majority of voters. That is one thing. And the second thing is that the significance of the caste or community of the candidates in election will not come into play. It will not be said that we belong to this caste or this community at the present moment. These things take precedence over the party to which the candidate belongs, which is relegated to the back position. It is the party which should come to the forefront. If we follow the system of proportional representation or the list system, it will be the party which will come to the forefront. There are many other malpractices associated with election which come into play during the elections. All these should be eliminated. Therefore, all along our suggestion has been that there should be proportional system of elections, which has not been accepted. We talk about so many evils of the elections. That is muscle power, money power, and sometimes government using its own power to scuttle the election processes. And at times, this process is interrupted. I may here give an instance as to what happened in the recent elections in Tripura. We can understand normal rigging during elections, but this is the latest and the only event in the history of elections in India. A candidate was declared elected by the authorities that he has been so elected. The All India Radio broadcasted that man was elected. The Election Commission agreed that he has been elected. But the next morning, we read in the newspaper that some other person has been elected. Can you imagine this thing? In the Tripura elections, a candidate who had been elected and so announced on the All India Radio and also agreed by the Election Commission was declared defeated the next morning. The fact is that after the election result was declared, the electoral officer in charge was garrowed and threatened not only by the Gundas but by the paramilitary forces, the military forces at the disposal of the central government, so that this man was afraid for his life and he had to say that somebody else had been elected. That is the situation. Therefore, while we go into these questions and we make electoral laws or bring about fundamental changes in our constitution, we should be above party lines and should see that no party should do anything against the law that we make in parliament. This experience has not been taken into consideration by the government while bringing about these amendments. It is not enough to say that muscle power or governmental power is misused during elections. We have before us Constitution Amendment Bill lowering the age to 18 years. That is a good step. It has been said that they were discussing it all along. I do not mind what they had been discussing all along. I agree to this amendment, but with some minor reservations. Stop.